good morning, everyone, all the hearts that are here with us. God bless every one of you and all your family. Welcome to our public meeting on this cold morning, but our hearts are warm with the happiness to be here. So let's start with our text for harmonization. And we are going to bring the text from The Living Spring, written by Francisco X. Javier, by the Spirit Emmanuel. And the text that we're going to start this morning, it's the text 154, No one lives solely for himself. For none of us lives solely for himself. Paul, Romans chapter 14, verse 7. The tree that you plant will produce not only for your own hunger, but for the necessities of others. The torch you light will illuminate not only the pathway at your own feet, but also the path for those with you. Just like the small stream of water influences the soil over which it passes, your decisions inspire other people's decisions. Thousands of eyes watch your footsteps. Thousands listen to your voice. And thousands of hearts receive your encouragement to do good or evil. Nobody lives solely for himself, says the divine message. Whether whatever we like it or not, the law demands that our lives be connected to the lives of those around us. We live for our families or friends, our ideals. Even reclusive misers who think they need no one live for their gold or for their possessions, which they will have to hand over to other lives when death takes them. Being aware of such a reality, keep an eye on your own pathway. When feeling, you think. When thinking, you do. And everything that is part of your endeavors, through your intentions, words, and actions, will represent the influence of your soul, helping to liberate you for the glory of the light, or worsening your captivity for suffering in the darkness. So keep an eye on your inner world and do as much good as you can while it is still today. For according to the wise concept of the Apostle Paul, nobody lives solely for himself. So let's pray. Dear Jesus, our benevolent Master, we are very grateful to be here today with our hearts connected to each other to talk about your gospel, to reflect upon your messages, and then fill our hearts with love and be able to cooperate wherever we are with our brothers and sisters among us. the benevolent spirits, help us through the reflections today. Help us to have our hearts opened, in our minds aware about how have we been cooperating with the law of love, charity, justice, just so we can fulfill or accomplish with our missions as immortal spirits. Help us to reflect, help us to bring to our lives the teachings from the Gospel that enlighten our lives, our pathway towards God. So be it. All right, so let's start. So today we brought these reflections about cooperation. So let's cooperate. Am I aware of my mission as a cooperator for a better world? So that's what we are going to talk today. That's what we hope that we can bring some reflections and some message that can help us to understand our mission, each of us as cooperator of Christ in this world. So we are going to start with our reflections, which I would like to ask to each of you, reflect to yourselves in a very authentic way, so we can have those questions answered through our conversations today. And I just would like to advise that I'll be aware or attentive to my cell phone. So if you have any comments, if you're going to have any questions, I'll be watching here. Just check if there's anything. All right. So let's get started. So the first reflection that I would like to bring is, how can I help the society where I live? The society that we live, Calgary. How can I help the fellows that work with me, that live with me, friends, any connections? Do I feel that God expects my collaboration? Do I feel that I can help my society to be better? Do I see myself as a collaborator of God, of Christ? Do I see myself collaborating with the gospel, bringing some light, some knowledge that I have learned so far? Am I aware of the blessings I have receiving or I receive every day, and I am grateful for them? Yeah, I would like to bring this gratitude feeling as well, because we are in this month of that we celebrate the virtue of gratitude, and as a collaborator, we are invited to be grateful, to be part of this, to be collaborating with a better world. So I'd like to bring also the references where we research those informations. I bring from Spirit's book, Allan Kardec, from the project Spiritizar from Mato Grosso, the Federation, the Spiritism Federation Mato Grosso, Brazil, the influence of the spirits in our lives. 3 books from Emmanuel, psychographed by Francisco X. Javier, The Way, the Truth, and Life, chapters 39 and 175, and the book Calm, the text 20, collaborators. And also some videos that we got some reflections, videos from the NAP with Arthur Valadares, where he gives us wonderful informations and reflections upon this book, Calm, Collaborators. So let's get started. And we're going to start with the book, with a text or the extract from the book, The Way, Truth, and Life, Emmanuel, the chapter 175. And he said, "How can I understand if someone doesn't teach me?" This extract from the book Acts, chapter 8, verse 31. So what we can understand about that? So it's somebody that needs a help from someone so he or she can understand. So in this chapter, Emmanuel says that since Jesus came, there is a movement to renew the man's heart. There are temples, scriptures, holy scriptures, that show us the way towards God. So in this text, we see Philip run up and heard the man reading the prophet Isaiah and asked, "Do you understand what you are reading?" And then the man says, "Well, how could I understand unless someone guides me correctly?" And he invited Philip to come up and sit with him. So here we see the apostle Philip run up to this man and helping him to understand a scripture, a text from the Old Testament. This is what Philip learned from Jesus as apostle of Jesus. And that's what he was doing. He received this teaching and he is helping others with the knowledge that he received from Jesus. Emmanuel says that the fraternal cooperation that Christ left us as an indispensable norm for the clarifying the eternal illumination of the world. Jesus showed us how to cooperate. So then Philip was helping this man because he learned that from God, from Jesus. So Philip, was complying with the laws, the divine laws, not only this following the example from Jesus, but also complying with the laws, the divine laws that Jesus also taught us, that Jesus also showed us with his examples. But so we can understand, or we can recall a little bit about the divine laws, I would like to go through the Spirit's book where we can find information about the divine laws. So we have here the divine laws that Philip was complying with when he was helping this man. The cooperation law, the solidarity, the fraternity, the society, and above all, the law of justice and charity. I need to confess that this is the first time that I have heard about the cooperation law. I thought the cooperation was just a virtue. When I was doing some studies about these reflections today, then this come up in so many ways about the law of cooperation. The divine laws are so many. We can every time discover a new one, and they don't need to be there in the chapter 3 of this. I don't know if the chapter 3 or the book 3, the moral laws. Please correct me if I am wrong. That talks about the moral laws, the natural laws, where there are the 10 laws there. There are many laws that are implicit, and this is the one. So let's see a little bit more about the divine laws, and then through our reflections today, we are going to see all those laws being shown to us from several texts that prove that they are laws, and then we should be complying with. So let's start with the natural law, the question 114 from the Spirit's book. What is natural law? So natural law is God's law. It alone ensures the happiness of the human beings. It shows them what they should or should not do, and that they only suffer when they deviated from it. So here we have very easily explained that the God's law, or the natural law, is the law that is able to help us to be happy, that guide us through the happiness, to the eternal happiness. We only suffer if we get distance from them. On the Spiritism Easily Explained, on the chapter 2, we see that this explanation about the laws created by God, and God created all the laws, the physical laws, the biological laws. We have the moral laws, the laws that we are talking about. So God created laws, which constitutes the world. Matter constitutes the world. He also created intelligent beings called spirits, which are in charge of this world, according to the creation's immutable laws. So we are in charge of this world where we incarnated, and we should act according to the divine laws, which are immutable. Such laws are perfect by nature. So they are perfect as God is perfect. By improving themselves, the spirits approach God. So, by acting accordingly with these natural laws, we approach God. This goes along with the question 115 from the Spirit's book, where the superior spirits, what are our mission? Where when Kardec asked, are some spirits created good and others bad? I know many of you have already heard this question, but I would like to repeat here that God created all spirits simple and unaware, meaning lacking of knowledge. God has given them each a particular mission to enlighten them and help them gradually reach perfection through the knowledge of the truth and rise closer to Him. So it's good to recall that when the Spirit says the knowledge of the truth, and what is the truth? The truth is the divine laws. So that's important for us to know the divine laws in order to accomplish with our mission that God gave to us, and also to be happy. So, but where are the divine laws? Where is God's law written? The answer is in the conscience. I know many of you already know that. And Kardec completes this question asking, since we carry God's law in our consciences, why does it need to be revealed to us? And the answer, you have forgotten and misinterpreted it. God wants it to be recalled to your memory. So as immortal spirits, we have in our conscience, we bring in our conscience the divine laws. But we don't reach those laws very often. Normally, we don't listen to our conscience voice. That we say they alert us, they advise us what we should do and or what we shouldn't do. But more often we don't listen to this little voice that is either in the back of our heads telling us, the back of our minds telling us, you should do that, you shouldn't do that. So that's the only way that we can feel the happiness or approach to God and then feel this happiness that brings that involve our hearts when we are following the divine laws. But what else we should know? Because we are here talking about collaborating, that our mission as collaborators. So where can we see that? On the question 573, what is the mission of incarnate spirits? So the answer is educating other incarnates, helping their advancement, and improving their institutions through direct material means. Missions vary in scope and importance. An individual who works as a farmer accomplishes a mission just as a politician or a teacher does. So here we can see very, very easily that we have the mission to help, to build a better world. That's our mission as immortal spirits. We have our own mission that develop the virtue that we are invited to build, to repair our mistakes, to improve as spiritual beings, but also we have this mission. While we are working ourselves, we are working in the society where we live. We see there are so many social injustices. We cannot, but we think that we cannot do anything, but we can. According with these questions, we can. We can help the advance, whatever we are, the institutions, through, we can help through direct material means. Even the scientists, we can see here that the doctors, the scientists, the engineers, everybody, all the professions, everybody is making a better world, are improving the society where they are through their work. This is the way that we can work in our horizontal level. And there is the vertical level, that is the level that we are connected with God. When we work in our horizontal level with our material work, but connected with God, we are accomplishing both missions. That's the balance that we need to find through the material work and the spiritual work. So, In the chapter 8 of the same book, Spiritism Easily Explained, we see this advice or this information. In order to cooperate in the material world as agents of a divine power, the spirits temporarily have a material body. By the work required in their corporeal lives, the spirits improve their intelligence, and by observing God's law, they acquire the merits, which will lead them to eternal happiness. So both connections, both cooperations in our material world, material work, in our spiritual work. While we are working our material work, we are also applying the knowledge and the virtues that we have already developed. And we learned to more virtues. We are applying that, sometimes some challenges, some struggles that we have there, and we ask to our essence, how can I act here? Which law should I comply with? So that's how we can cooperate. And the answer keeps going here. Everything in nature is connected, in all spirits, while purifying themselves through incarnation, contribute to the accomplishment of God's plan. Each of you has a mission, because each of you can be useful in one way or another. So here, it's wonderful, it's so beautiful to see. In nature everything in nature is connected, and all spirits, we are all connected to each other. We are in this web that I'm going to show later, how our hearts are connected by love. While we are purifying ourselves, we are helping others. So from the same book, Path, the True and Life, from the text 175 Cooperation, Emmanuel says, no one keeps the presumption of rising without the help of others. Although we should not seek the parasitic condition for ascension, so and although we shouldn't be stopped and just waiting for help from others and not doing anything, so we can keep, or we can expect the others' help, but we need to do our work as well. We are referring to solidarity, which is a law, a divine law, to fruitful support, to constructive help. Those who learn something always make use of the men who have already passed, and cannot go beyond if they lack the interest of those, even if that interest is minimal. What Emmanuel wants to tell us here is the constructive help always comes from the ones that passed us, the ones that did some job before, and then we can learn from their work, their knowledge, our teachers, our co-workers, our parents, our friends, someone that have learned something before us can come and can tell us, can help us. We need to understand that we depend on each other. We depend on each other. And Emmanuel also says that the apostles needed the Christ. The apostles needed the Christ. And Jesus based his teachings on of which he was the divine emissary, on the ancient laws. So the Jesus teachings were basis on the ancient laws, the Old Testament. And this, you can see the chain of how the knowledge is built, how the cooperation is built. And Emmanuel also advises that cooperators are not born made. So we can cooperate, but sometimes we don't have the knowledge, and we are invited to learn, like we are doing here. I am learning, my friends are learning to be here, and to pass on what we have learned from that topic, from that knowledge. So neither Christ had them, neither Christ had the cooperators made. They were imperfect as we are, and Christ helped them to become better. So we need to each other, and we are here. I would like to recall that we are here talking about Spiritism just because a great apostle of Christ came before us and compiled all this information. And this month is his birth. We celebrate his birth. Allan Kardec. All our gratitude for bringing us this sanctified doctrine that help us to understand the life, to understand the love and the justice of God. So how this works then? How this works? How can we help each other? So I'd like to bring this graphic again that we have seen so many times, but it's also good to review again because we always learn from repetition. So here we have two graphics, basically the same, but here we can see that in this, that's not working, all right. So here we can see me as immortal spirit, and there we can see others as immortal spirits. So if I am learning, and how do I learn? I learn as immortal spirit, surrender myself to the divine laws that are perfect and immutable, our God is, and to God. Through the divine laws, I surrender. How do I surrender? How do I act? I surrender to those laws, acting myself, developing the virtues that are seeds that I created, that I have been created with. And to God, I surrender to God by developing or to be able to develop the attributes of God in myself. The eternity, the perfection, the goodness, all his attributes I bring in myself. Why? Because I am created by God. So I bring in myself the sense of light, the sense of love. So the same do my brother, my sister. The same does they do the same. So here they are acting themselves and developing the virtues and surrender to God and to divine laws, and then they are improving. They are knowing the truth, and they are rising closer to God. So when we have both doing that, both sides doing that, we are able to help ourselves and to help each other. We cannot act in the others, but we can also act in ourselves. So that's how the universe works. The cooperation of each other, with each of us, and complying with the divine laws and God, acting ourselves. We are acting wherever we are. Like in the text that we just read in the Living Spring, when we act, we are influencing so many eyes that are watching us. So the importance to be vigilant, to be watching and praying. In Honorio, the mentor for the Spiritist Art Project, he says, when we use our free will, this is the law too that gives us the free will to act, disconnected from the divine laws, the links that are formed by the repair force for the necessary readjustment with regarding the major law. So what he says here is, when we act disconnected from God and from the divine laws, we are creating suffering for us. And we are invited by the harmony law and the cooperation law to repair the damage, the suffering that we created for us and for others. There is no escape from the divine balance, dissolving the great harmony law. Everyone is invited to fulfill God's designs. This is so beautiful. Whatever we do, if we do good or if we don't do good, we are invited to, we are connected in this cooperation law. If you are cooperation with good acts, or if you're not cooperation with the good acts, we are invited to come and to repair that evil and then become good again. And I would like to share with you this slide that was very inspirational, and my dear Eric lent to me, I borrowed from him, that shows so beautifully how we are connected, how this link, the law cooperation linked each of us, that we are linked in the universe. We understand that we are part of a big chain where we can help each other. So God created us to create links of mutual cooperation, sooner or later. This is what Mentor Honorio says. These links are formed by the strength of the love, when it tuned an identification with the law of God. So we can see here lots of hearts, and we are connected to each other because the law of cooperation is based, the cornerstone of the law of cooperation is love. We are connected to each other. Emmanuel says on the text tree, spontaneous cooperation is the supreme ingredient of order. From divine glory to subatomic goals, the universe can be defined as being a chain of lives, of hearts that enter the great life. Can you imagine the universe? It's a great life, and we are part of this great life. We are connected. We are connected not only with the humankind here in this planet, but all the planets in the universe, all the human beings, and the most faraway planet. Cooperation means constructive obedience to the impositions of the front, so we need to be aware about the impositions of what we need to do, and implicit help in the regard to the privation, and also be aware from ones that are coming behind us. That's what does our guardian angels. They are helping us because we are behind them, and they are helping us to be better, and so they are cooperating with our evolution, with our involvement. So whoever helps is helped by finding in silence the most secured formula of adjustment to the process of evolution. When we help others, we are helping ourselves. We are getting better. We are improving. So the fraternity, the solidarity, we are complying with the laws of fraternity, solidarity, and collaboration. So from the same book, Cooperation, we see here another advice from Emmanuel. No one remains abandoned. Christ's messengers always help on the most deserted roads. It's necessary, however, that the soul accepts its condition of need and does not despise the act of learning with humility. For we must not forget, through the gospel text, that the beggar, here we beggar of understanding, we say it's pedinte ou mendigo de entendimento, was the chief butler of the Ethiopian queen, superintendent of all her treasures. In addition, he went by car and Philip on foot. So here we can see that no one remains abandoned. No one is deprived to help. Doesn't matter if it's a queen or if it's a beggar. Here we can see that Philip helped a very knowledgeable person, but could not understand the text, could not understand without help. That's what he said. And Philip was there to help them. God's messengers. Philip was acting as a God's messenger. So the same to us, we can be a helper, collaborating with God in our lives to anyone that needs us. In this book, Libertação, which is in English is freedom, that we are gonna reflect upon on 21st of November on our book club, there are many, many examples of how we are helped by the benevolent spirits. And something very, very important about this book is the preface. Read the preface. Like Arthur Valadares advises in one of his videos, he says the importance to read the prefaces. And also, I'm going to show you the preface for this book, Paul and Stephen's, where we can see the law of cooperation in all his glories. This is the Spiritism cooperation to us, through the knowledge of the spirits that came before us, the experience that they have, through the revelation. They show us, they tell us, they teach us how to act, how we should do and how we shouldn't do, and the consequences of each act. So help us to have discernment for our own acts, how we should act here. I saw in that book, I read in that book, I learned this, to reflect upon the readings, to apply to our lives. That's the invitation. So from this book, Paul and Stephen's, I would like to bring the preface that Emmanuel wrote, and why he wrote. Because he said that there was two goals to write this book when he was dictating this book to Francisco Cândido X Javier. He gave us very good examples how Paul was helped since the beginning for Ananias, that was his the persecutor. Paul was chasing him to imprison him, and he was the helper, the one that helped Paul to recover from the blindness. He was helped by Barnabas, he was helped by Peter, he was helped by Abigail and Stephen, that came as a spirit and helped him through all his journey. We are never abandoned. Even though we think that we are by ourselves, we, like Paul says, we are involved in a cloud of testimonies. So, about the preface that Emmanuel brings to us as contributors, he says, "Without Stephen, we would have no Paul of Tarsus. The great martyr of nascent Christianity exerted much more influence on the Pauline experience than we could imagine, solely through the known texts of earthly studies." Stephen was very knowledgeable about the texts, about the Old Testaments, about the Gospel of Jesus, that he had the chance to learn from the men of the pathway, the Peter, all the apostles. In this book, we can see that Stephen had so much to teach Paul. And he did that through the journey where Paul was converted to the Christianity. After Paul was converted, how Stephen helped him. The contribution of Stephen and other personages of this true story confirm the necessity and universality of the law of working together. Here we can see the law of cooperation. Jesus, whose compassion and power touched everything, saw the companion of 12 helpers to undertake the world's renewal. So here, even Jesus needed helpers. And we need to. And we can give our contribution to the ones that are around us. Sometimes just a friendly word, friendly talk, sometimes just a smile, sometimes a hug, sometimes financial, material help for those that are in need. And this is so important for us because connect us with each other, connect our hearts. And I would like to remind here that we didn't put at the first beginning, but I would like to remind all our friends that we have this fund, the GoFunding, to help those ones that are in necessity during the COVID-19. We still need your help. If you could go and help us, would be, we are very grateful for all your help that we could do. So here, I would like to bring another text from Honorio, where he says, "The laws of solidarity and cooperation teach us that we are the result of efforts of many other spirits, incarnate and disincarnated." So here we can see, we just need to remember, when we born, we needed our parents, our grandparents, everybody that was around us and helped us to become whatever we are, our teachers. And discarnated, we cannot even think how many we had before we incarnated, before when we are there planning our incarnation, how many helpers we had and still have, who have worked on our behalf. And obviously, each of us, being a unique sense, we are invited to exercise the law of gratitude. We should be grateful for all the helpers that we had and we still have in our lives. Practicing this virtue of gratitude due to everything they have done to us, through their experiences and the work of love and charity, helping us, touching our hearts for sublime evolution. So Honorio, the mentor Honorio here, help us to understand how important it is to be grateful, how it's good to remember how many helpers we had and we still have. And Mentor Honorio also help us to understand the law of gratitude. So here we have, this is how we evolve. This is how we comply with the laws and how we become better. First, we need to, or we are invited by the progress law. The progress law invited us to evolve, to become better. We feel inside of our hearts that we need to become better. So then what we do, we work. We work towards our goals. We understand our mission, or we try to understand, we try to accomplish with our missions, to accomplish, to comply with the laws, to develop virtues. We are working in ourselves while we are working in the world. And then we feel the effects of this work, called the law, the cause and effect. We feel that so much, we feel that happiness, we feel there are good consequences when we act, when we do good. And then we feel this energy of love. We feel so in love for whatever we are doing that is good. We feel the energy of love. And you want to do to others. We want that others feel the same way that we are feeling. So we act upon we comply with the law of charity and justice. Because the way we receive, you want to do, you want to give. So then we comply with the gratitude. And there are two types of gratitudes. The gratitude reception, when we receive good, and we donate. With the way we receive, we donate. And in the book of Emmanuel the Calm, the chapter 20, he says, workers in the building of the better world do not work alone. No one accomplishes something for the benefit of all without someone else's participation. So if someone gives to me, cooperate with my evolution, with my life, I have the duty, a conscious duty, to donate, not as you scratch my back, I scratch yours, but as a feeling of to be collaborating, the same way that somebody's collaborating with me, according with the divine laws. This is how the universe works. The blessings that we receive, we donate. We are invited to practice the virtue of gratitude. The gratitude for all the blessings that we have, all the good that we have received from the spiritual world, from the incarnate and the discarnated, mainly from our guardian angel that Luis always talk about. He has done some talks about the guardian angels. I highly recommend all of you to watch. How about the challenges that we have in life? Paul gives us this advice: in all give thanks. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 18. Sometimes we learn through the challenges of lives that we have in our lives. Sometimes we learned from the good stuff that happens in our lives. We are always learning. If we could see our challenges, our struggles in life as a way to learn more about ourselves, to learn more what we can improve in ourselves in order to overcome that challenge, we are complying with the laws, the progress law, the work law. And we can teach to others through our experience how to pass through that challenges. That's how we collaborate with each other. And also, always when we are passing through a challenging moment, there is always hearts around us, helping us, giving a hand, standing their hands to helping us, giving us hope, giving us their support. Remember, nobody is abandoned. And I would like to finish our talk today about this last slide that my dear Eric lended to me. That is also good to remember, that fraternity prescribed by Christ. In this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. So this is the invitation. This is our invitation for all the hearts that are with me, with us here today, and seeing these little hearts, chains, and FSS in the middle. We are here to help each other, to build a better society, to work in ourselves while we are working in our environment. In connection with the cooperation law, with the solidarity law, with the fraternity law, we love each other and we will help each other to build a better world, to accomplish with our mission that we have with the universe. And above all, the love that connects, this energy that connects all the hearts all together. It's a chain, it's a linked chain that we are invited to know. We are invited to be aware that we are not alone. We are part of this chain, and we are invited to work as a collaborator to bring more peace, more love, more health, more all the goods that we have received from God since the beginning. So that's the invitation. Hopefully everyone had understand, or if you have any questions and any other comments, let's see here. I guess there's nothing. Do you see any comments there, Tim? No? All right, so. Okay, on time. This is unbelievable. All right, so let's finish our talk today. Could you please turn off the lights? Please, thanks. Let's do our final prayer. So, once again, let's close our eyes. Let's connect our hearts with all the spirits, the benevolent spirits that are here with us, that helped us today. Thank you very much, dear friends, for helping us to understand, to go through this talk, to bring all these messages that recall us about our mission to be collaborators, to collaborate with a better world while we are accomplishing with our own missions as immortal spirits. Thank you for giving us, Master Jesus, the promised consolator that is our Spiritism, that help us to understand how the universe works, all these glorious divine laws, the purpose of our lives, this Spiritism that recall us about the divine laws that God had given to us, so we can be happy. We can understand how wise, how bigger, how wonderful is this world. Thank you, God, for helping us, for bringing us all this knowledge through your emissaries. Thank you, all the spirits incarnated and discarnated that have been helping us through our lives. Please continue collaborating with our lives, with our journey here, with our mission. And we will try with all our strength to give back all the blessings that we have been receiving from you. Thank you for being with us. So be it. Have a wonderful Sunday.